Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of r/Entitled People. In today's episode, entitled girl blocks our driveway. Colleague needs perfume so badly she makes me sick. My uncle has been living in my mom's house for 4 years. A few days ago he crossed the line. Before we get started, make sure to subscribe so you will never miss a video. So let's get started. Entitled girl blocks our driveway. The usual BS with an entitled Karen. Couple of houses on the street are having renovation work done, so street parking is tighter than usual. Our driveway is very visible. Prominent curb cut, brick pavers that start at the sidewalk, you really cannot miss it. I come home from running a couple of errands and a Subaru is parked across our entire driveway. They couldn't have centered their car any better if they tried. So I grab another spot and schlep my shit into the house. Couple minutes later, I see a couple leaving the rental across the street and getting into the car. They're not renters there, maybe just visiting. I'm not a complete asshat, and I like the neighbors that live there, so I step onto the porch, get their attention, and in a very nice tone of voice, give them the "Hey folks, just a heads up, if you're back, you're parked in my driveway." The dude looks up, sees they were clearly in the wrong, and says, "Oh sorry man, I didn't even notice. My bad." Which, Matt, if that's how poorly you pay attention, you probably shouldn't even be driving, but I let it slide. Karen on the other hand. "Don't worry about it, we're not parking here." Yeah, you dumb shit, you are parked there. But I'm still being at least a little nice. Well, whether you're staying or not, you're still blocking my driveway. It's not a big deal, you don't have to be a stupid about it. Me, oh, if I wanted to be a stupid, you'd know it. Well, we're not parking here, so you don't have anything to be *tch about. Me, done being nice. Do you see that silver car parked right there? I had to park there because you were already blocking my driveway. So once again, you are currently parked here. Dude apologizes again, tells Karen to STFU and just get in the car. We share a little nod and away they go. I'm kind of hoping that they visit more so I can just have her towed next time. Definitely tow next time. People like this are so insufferable. You were a lot nicer than my fiancé would have been. Also, do idiots who block driveways really need catalytic converters? That reminds me of when I lived in a student housing complex. All the parking in our lot was clearly marked residents only. We all had parking stickers on our cars. Across the street was the stadium for the school. On football nights we would have tons of people who would park in our lot. Since these cars didn't have parking stickers on them, we knew who was illegally parked. So us residents would come out and carefully let the air out of one tire for each illegally parked car. After the game there was a tow truck in the parking lot that charged each car $100 to fill the deflated tire. After 2 to 3 games word must have gotten around and people stopped parking in our lot. That's excellent. That happened to me one time. A neighbor was having a party and people were parking all over the place. Someone decided it would be okay to block my driveway. Well, my husband opened their car door, fortunately it wasn't locked, released the parking brake and pushed their car into the middle of the street, then locked the door. Then he called the police to complain about a car parked in the middle of the road blocking traffic. The car was quickly towed by the police. I used to live near a movie theater and dealt with this every weekend. Some jerks blocked me in from driving to my weekend job waiting tables, others blocked me out from parking when I came home after my shift. I towed every single one of those idiots who parked across the driveway. Nobody is that blind or distracted, they just choose to roll the dice. We're not parking here. However, they stopped the car, put it in park, turned off the engine, and walked away. That's called parking. Next time you just get their car towed and they can pay for it. It's that simple. You don't park in someone else's driveway. Colleague needs perfume so badly she makes me sick. This happened a few years back at an office job I'm no longer working at, thank God. I'm autistic and very sensitive to strong sensory input. Strong smells and perfume give me migraines on good days, and on bad days it's enough to send me into a dissociative meltdown. After a very trying year, where I ended up fully breaking down in the office in front of everyone, they finally put some accommodations in place that meant it was less difficult to be in the office. The relevant rules basically asked people not to spray perfume in the office. They could still wear it, just put it on somewhere that wasn't in the shared office space. This was the worst thing that ever happened to my colleague. She repeatedly came up to my desk and would complain about how silly the rule was, and it wasn't fair that everyone was being forced to not use perfume because I was being overly sensitive. Note that they'd seen my meltdown and was convinced that her perfume could not have been part of the problem. At this point, I had fought hard to get these, extremely minor and reasonable accommodations, and I knew if I started making concessions, none of the accommodations would last long. So I told her to just spray perfume outside or in the bathroom and she'd be fine. Unfortunately, it wasn't the end. I came back from lunch the next day to find my desk had been drenched in perfume. It was so strong the plastic cover on it was slightly warped. I, unsurprisingly, ended up having another meltdown within an hour or two. She never took responsibility for spilling the perfume, but made a big show out of saying how she didn't think I should be working in a shared space if normal things were so hard for me. I work from home for a different job now, thank God. I still get an instant headache when I smell that particular cheap strawberry scent. Used to work with a colleague who you could smell 5 minutes before seeing him. Currently work with one like that. Unfortunately, it's not perfume or deodorant that precedes her. Next time you hear that a little perfume won't hurt anyone, just tell them a little won't. But when someone wears enough that they smell like a hooker with cheap perfume, then I have a problem with it. My uncle has been living in my mom's house for 4 years. A few days ago he crossed the line. Hello fellow Redditors. I am female, 16, and this post will require a few bits of backstory. My uncle in this story is EU, entitled uncle, my mom is NP, nice parent, and my uncle's friend is SF, stupid friend. 4 years ago my grandma became very sick. She lived in a flat and she became so weak that she couldn't get up the stairs. This forced her to move in with my mom, the only one of her 5+ kids who would take her. Of course, she had to sleep downstairs since she couldn't get upstairs. She had to sleep on the couch since back then we weren't in the place to buy a bed. My grandma didn't seem to have a problem with sleeping on the couch though. Along with my grandma came her 2 sons, one of them being EU. The other one was decent and was a relatively normal guy. He was respectful and gave rent despite him nor EU having a job. However, EU did not give rent and still doesn't to this day. He spends all of his time out of the house drinking. Even if he doesn't have money, he borrows money and owes a lot out. I'm not sure of exact numbers, but it's well over £2,000. Throughout the years EU became more trashy. He would leave mountains of beer cans in the kitchen and stay up late playing loud music with my distant relatives. He never cared if it was a school night for me and my younger sister. If we complained to him, he'd brush us off and tell us to tune it out. Also, before any of you blame NP, you'd be wrong. You see, my mom is a shy woman that hates conflict with a passion. And even if her brother was terrible, she still loves him as her family member. She even tried to help him get his own flat, which he didn't have a single living about. Moving on, there is one main incident I remember from the one that happens recently. He's done a lot of bad things in the years, but this one stuck out to me. EU invited SF over for a drink. This friend is known for theft, by the way. And just as you would have expected, SF stole money from my NP. It was even worse because it was money to buy me and my younger sister food, so we didn't get to have a decent meal for about 2 days until my mom's friend gave her money after hearing about everything. It stressed my mom out big time, and hearing my mom cry stuck with me. The next information might trigger people, so if you don't want to hear it, please skip ahead past the next paragraph. In my life, I have been traumatized multiple times. One that still makes me cry to this day is when my mom tried to overdose. She was extremely depressed after being cheated on by a man she loved. I was 8 years old when this happened. And it took me a whole year to understand everything. I grew up way too fast after that. I still have panic attacks to this day. It's getting hard to breathe as I type this. Anyways, moving on from that, I'll talk about what happens recently. The concept of what happened is EU stole NP's car keys. He did this because no one would take him to go buy cigarettes. He hid the car key and convinced everyone that he took them out with him. I later ended up finding them after I got a bit suspicious after seeing him walking out of the house with no car keys in sight. My mom was panicked the whole time since we weren't and probably won't be for a long time, but a new car. Along with the car being used as well. To throw salt on the wound, my little cousin's scooter was in the back of the car and we couldn't get it. This happened a few days ago, but nothing has really happened since then. I don't blame your mom, but she has to set some boundaries and a course of actions that lead to EU's departure. You and your family can't live like this. The worst has not happened yet, believe it or not. Stay strong, little one. Peace. Agreed. You and your sister need a safe environment to grow up in. Your mom should be doing this, however, if she can't, then you or someone else needs to take action. Is there someone else in the family that can stand up to your entitled uncle? As the uncle does not pay rent, you can change the locks and trespass him. Your family cannot keep putting up with this. Not necessarily, even not paying rent. At this point your uncle has established residency. If you made it to the end of the video, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe and share, and we will see you in the next video.